Hey guys, Nicole here. Welcome back to my channel. I was just midway through the process of working on this sketchbook page and I decided to put the camera on. Sometimes I like to record things partway through. When I first get started, it can make me feel a little self-conscious recording, and so I decided just, partway through that things were going along well and I was trying some new techniques and I just wanted to share that with you. So I popped my phone camera on and continued working. So this is my Hahnemuhle sketchbook. It's a watercolor sketchbook with a nice linen cover. And I began this page with a watercolor background with the intention of creating some sort of landscape, imaginary landscape, but also inspired by Vancouver Island here. And so I started with some big watercolor swatches in the background, the sky, and then down towards the foreground being kind of a mixture of water and land. And I work with a mixture of Daniel Smith paints and some from Opus Art Supplies. And so that was the background. And then what I've been really interested in for this year is to practice more drawing techniques and bringing more drawing into my painting. So this stage is where I've already started some drawing. The background was dry. I'd already done the watercolor techniques like using a fan brush and big washes. And now that it's dry, I had the opportunity to go in with different drawing materials. So what you'll see me working with here on the left is a set of Derwent Inktense pencils. That is so hard for me to say. These pencils are like water-soluble pencil crayons, but the difference with the Inktense ones is that once they dry, they are permanent versus the watercolor pencil crayons, which you see on my right there, the blue-handled ones on the right. Those are water-soluble, but they remain water-soluble. So if I were to go over them again with a paintbrush later on, I could blend them out. Those are the water-soluble pencil crayons that I have in my hand now. And so I like to work with both of them. The Inktense ones have really intense pigmentation, which is nice. Actually, that's an Inktense one there. And I'm just scribbling in some more foliage in the foreground. So what I'm trying to achieve in these new sketchbook pages is a feeling of landscape that is both loose and a bit structured. When I'm going back in with the pencil crayons or the Neocolor II pastels, those are the water-soluble pastels, I'm trying to edit certain areas as well as add new texture and line work. So here you can see that I'm working with like a soft green color and that I'm going back into an area that was already painted green, but I'm sort of refining it. Instead of refining it with watercolor, I'm refining it with my drawing tools. So I can look at areas where things are overlapping and decide that I want to edit some out by covering it, or I want to perhaps merge two areas together. I can make one area stronger. When I'm loosely painting, I'm just kind of throwing things on the page and working wildly. And then when I'm doing the drawing, it gives me a chance to refine it a little bit more. This is one of my favorite colors. It's jade green. It's the Neocolor II pastel. I work with those wet, but here I'm just working with them dry. And so I'm merging areas together. I'm adding little details, and I'm starting to consider more the overall composition, how lines and areas of color are flowing together. I'm really inspired by a lot of artists who are working in the UK and Scotland. I love that aesthetic from that part of the world where people do these like loose, intuitive landscapes. I'd love a chance to study abroad at some point and take some workshops there. So I'm trying to bring that feel into my paintings. Sometimes I do really quiet, meditative paintings. As you've seen, some of my coastal landscapes are quite quiet. But, when we come to sit and work and play in our practice, it's nice to have different styles in our practice. Like this still feels very me. The colors are very me. The colors feel kind of West Coast, but there's a bit more movement and energy and mark making that's happening in here. Some days I feel quiet and some days I feel more expressive. So I said that I came in to do some drawing work, but you can also see that I'm using a darker watercolor here to draw in a tree line. So I'm refining the page a little bit more, adding some elements that are more recognizable. And for me, doing this kind of work and this style being a bit new to me, I have to balance how much I want to be recognizable scenery, and how much detail, and how much is more abstract. So obviously I'm trying to keep a bit of an abstract feel, but some details can, pull the viewer's eye in and draw your eye into the composition. So it's sort of a push-pull balance, like edit some areas out, quiet them down by doing larger areas of color, and then add some more details. In particular, going in with these strokes right now, I can tell that what I was trying to do was add a bit more contrast. When I feel like I've overdone it, I use a big moppy brush to kind of soften that area. But that's what I mean with the push-pull. It's like add a little bit more and then pull it back. This is another one of my favorite Neocolor II pastels, this light bluey purple color. It is called Cobalt. I'm just going to double check here. It is Cobalt Blue 5%. I don't know that I've ever seen one that was a different percent, but it is my most used pastel. I love it. These are my beam paints. This is my favorite color, Dreamer's Gold. Beam paints are made in Canada, so I love supporting a local business. These little watercolors are, these iridescent watercolors are made with ethically sourced mica, so I really like that feature of them as well. You can see in my little tin on the left there that I have my beam watercolors as well as some little half pans that are on magnets, so I just keep those in that little set and pull them out as I need them. I like being able to hold them because you can kind of bring them over to your sketchbook or your painting and work with them. I love to splatter the iridescent paints. They look super pretty, adding this little bit of shimmer and movement to my page. I also like how you can vary the iridescent paints. If you add a lot of water, there's just this really light shimmer, but if you really lather your brush on the paint, you can get quite an opaque line to work with as well. So it can be quite a bold statement. I have a few others there too, like a rainforest green, wild salmon, fiddlehead, and fireweed is the pink one. And then there's a darker gold color, which is a gold brown, called wet grizzly, that I also really enjoy. So this video is about to wrap up. I'm not showing the entire process today, although I do have lots of other videos where I show start to finish pages. Also, if you sign up for my newsletter, there's some special lessons in there. Feel free to ask me questions, and I hope that this inspires you to go grab your sketchbook and create today.